Love my family. Most of the time, I don't like my family. Everyone in my family.
Take a breath.
Everybody. I feel like I'm angry at everybody in my family. I don't like my family. If they weren't my family, they wouldn't be my friends.
He's divorced, and a divorced mom pretty much got nothing. I'm not going to leave my mom by herself. So I'm going to make sure my mother's taken care of. None of my siblings have helped me take care of my mother to make sure she was okay, except for Tamar. No one said,
This is before Vincent.
Before Vincent. Mommy's car insurance is due. Let's help Toni with mommy car insurance.
Or mommy needs a car.
Normally, I would never have a conversation with Trina or any of my sisters about helping out financially with my mom. But because I'm so stressed in that category, I needed to let her know what I felt. Hurts my feelings every day. My feelings hurt every day because I'm in a financial situation myself because I can't work the way I like to.
She's so freaking mean to me. I was in shock.
Do you take responsibility for the situation that you're in right now?
100%.
100%.
100%. I couldn't believe it because I loved her so much. I admired her and looked up to her. And she pretty much reprimanded me. And immediately she made me feel this big. That moment completely changed my career. It made people look down on me.
I think it's when I was first diagnosed with having lupus, I was so down. I was so depressed. And the doctors told me I would never be able to work again. Your music career is over. But the man upstairs that had a whole other plan for me.
Okay, you're engaged.
I'm engaged.
He did good, right?
He did well, right? Very well. Look at that.
The Braxton family drama just went from simmering to full boil, and this time it's Tamar Braxton firing shots straight at her own sister. In a twist no one saw coming, Tamar is accusing Toni Braxton of crossing the ultimate line, trying to steal from her. We're talking secret bank maneuvers, suspicious transfers, and even bankruptcy whispers that Toni allegedly tried to bury. And it all blew up when Toni's own bank flagged some eyebrow-raising activity that led straight back to Tamar's money. Now Tamar is calling her sister a liar, a manipulator, and a thief. The question is, how did the sisters go from harmonizing on stage to waging all-out war over cash? Tamar Braxton has just set the internet on fire, and she's not holding back. In a bombshell accusation that's got fans clutching their pearls, she's calling out her own sister, Toni Braxton, for trying to steal from her. Yes, steal. According to Tamar, this isn't just some petty sibling squabble or a shady side-eye across the dinner table. We're talking about secret bank activity, questionable money transfers, and a situation so sketchy that even Toni's own bank allegedly flagged it as suspicious. That's right. The alert didn't come from Tamar's accountant, her lawyer, or even a nosy cousin. It came straight from Toni's financial institution, which reportedly spotted movements that led straight to Tamar's money. And when Tamar found out, she didn't just take it as a misunderstanding. She took it as betrayal of the highest order. For Tamar, this isn't just about dollars. It's about trust. She's accusing Toni of being a liar, a manipulator, and, in her words, a straight-up thief. This is the same woman she once called her rock, her mentor, her sister. Now Tamar is painting her as someone willing to go behind her back and dip into her bag without permission. From family to foe, the shift was instant, and the fallout? Nuclear. Threats of lawsuits, talk of police involvement, and the kind of ugly that doesn't just blow over, it lingers, it scars, and it turned a family name into a headline. And with both women being reality TV veterans who've never shied away from airing their grievances in public, you can bet this fight isn't staying behind closed doors. Because here's the thing, when you've got decades of family history, years of old wounds, and a bank receipt that looks like proof of betrayal, you're not just dealing with a bad week. You're dealing with a storyline that could blow up everything. And the internet is already picking sides. If you've been following the Braxton family for any length of time, you know this isn't exactly the first time Tamar and Toni have clashed. In fact, their sisterhood has been rocky for years, built on a mix of love, rivalry, and public shade that's played out everywhere from reality TV to Instagram captions. And while family arguments are one thing, these two have taken it to a level where the block button might as well be on speed dial. Tamar has blocked Toni so many times, it's basically a running gag at this point. But the jokes always come with a sting. One of the most infamous moments came on Tamar's birthday, when Toni posted a seemingly sweet tribute on social media, only to casually mention, "Wanted to repost the gorgeous picture of you, but I'm blocked again." That little line sent fans into a frenzy. And Tamar? She didn't let it slide. She fired right back, admitting she blocks her sisters all the time whenever they work her nerves, and even accused Toni of gaslighting her instead of just calling talk things out. And she wasn't done. Tamar went on to post that she was celebrating with friends and not bothering a soul, and accused Toni of doing it to be mean like we don't talk. Happy birthday? More like public boxing match. But the block and shade cycle isn't the only fracture in their relationship. Tamar has repeatedly taken her frustrations public, calling her family toxic and admitting she regrets ever going back to film Braxton family values. She's posted cryptic rants about gaslighting, manipulation, and needing to go back into treatment because of the stress, often right after some kind of family dust-up. Fans have picked up on the timing, and it's hard not to connect the dots between her mental health breaks and the behind-the-scenes drama with her sisters, especially Toni. Toni, for her part, has also admitted she doesn't always like her family. In one brutally honest interview, she straight up said that if her relatives weren't related to her, they wouldn't even be her friends. Ouch. That's not just a little friction. That's a fracture. And when you've got two strong personalities like Tamar and Toni, who can go from loving each other on stage to barely speaking in private, it creates the perfect conditions for a blow-up like this latest money scandal. So while the alleged bank incident might have lit the fuse, this bomb has been ticking for years. The shade, the blocks, the public call-outs, they've all been warning shots. And now, with Tamar openly accusing Toni of betrayal, it's looking less like a random explosion and more like the breaking point in a long, messy war. According to Tamar, this wasn't some petty misunderstanding or mix-up over a bill. This was a calculated move. She claims Toni didn't just stumble into her finances by accident. No, this was intentional. The way Tamar tells it, Toni allegedly tried to get her hands on Tamar's money without permission, moving behind the scenes in a way that she thought no one would notice. But the thing about money is, it always leaves a trail, and this trail led straight to a red flag that blew the whole thing open. Sources close to the situation say Tamar first got wind of the betrayal when Toni's own bank stepped in. Apparently, there was unusual activity connected to accounts Tamar's name was tied to, and the bank had no choice but to flag it. Now, banks don't just make those calls for fun. Something had to look suspicious enough to trigger an alert. And whatever it was big enough for Tamar to drop the gloves and call her sister out publicly. Tamar's inner circle says the discovery hit her like a slap in the face. This wasn't some stranger or shady business partner. This was her sister, the woman she'd grown up with, sung with, confided in. Tamar allegedly confronted Toni immediately, and instead of getting an explanation that made sense, she claimed she got deflection, excuses, and a lot of dodging around the truth. To Tamar, that was as good as a confession. And here's where it gets even messier. Word is, Tamar believes this wasn't the first time Toni had dipped into her bag. She's been hinting that there might be more incidents, smaller ones that flew under the radar until now. And if that's true, this heist might not just be a one-off slip, it could be part of a bigger pattern. The most tantalizing part? The bank supposedly has proof. Exactly what they've confirmed hasn't gone public yet, but Tamar has been dropping breadcrumbs online, suggesting that the receipts are real and that she's ready to show them if she has to. It's the kind of tease that has fans refreshing her socials nonstop, waiting for that one post that blows the whole thing wide open. And if that happens, it's not just going to be a sisterly spat, it's going to be a scandal. Because nothing gets messier than family business mixed with money, betrayal, and a paper trail that can't be erased. If you know Toni Braxton's career, you know her voice has always been flawless, but her financial record? That's another story entirely. Toni has lived through not one, but two bankruptcies in her lifetime, each one more public and humbling than the last. The first came in the late 90s, right after her multi-platinum success with Secrets and Unbreak My Heart. On paper, she was one of the most successful singers in the world. In reality, she was drowning in debt, thanks to an infamously bad record deal that paid her pennies per album and a spending style that didn't exactly match her royalty checks. When Toni filed for bankruptcy in 1998, fans were shocked. How could someone with that many hits be broke? But she bounced back for a while. Then came the second financial collapse in 2010. This time, it wasn't just bad contracts. It was medical bills after being diagnosed with lupus and heart issues, combined with canceled Vegas shows that cost her millions. She owed creditors everywhere from Tiffany & Company to the IRS. The headlines were brutal. And while Toni tried to hold her head high, the shadow of those bankruptcies never really left her. She even admitted on the Oprah Winfrey Show that her spending habits were part of the problem, confessing to splurging on things like high-end home decor and $1,000 sheets. But instead of sympathy, she got backlash. Oprah famously told her point-blank that she was acting entitled and living beyond her means, a moment so raw it still gets shared online to this day. For some fans, it cemented the image of Toni as a woman who loves luxury but can't always afford it. Since then, Toni has managed to stay out of bankruptcy court, but whispers about her financial stability have never completely gone away. Between rumors of unpaid taxes, legal disputes over property, and even having her jewelry seized to pay debts, she's never been far from money trouble. And let's not forget, this is a woman whose lifestyle is expensive. We're talking luxury cars, couture fashion, private jets, and million-dollar homes. So when Tamar now claims her sister tried to get into her accounts, the history makes people raise their eyebrows. This isn't just a random accusation. It comes against the backdrop of a woman who's been open about her money woes, who's faced public embarrassment over debt, and who may very well be feeling the pressure to maintain her brand of glamour. If you connect the dots, the picture starts to look like motive. A sister with a long history of financial strain, a luxury lifestyle to keep up, and a sibling whose bank account might have looked like an easy fix. And if the bank really does have proof, it would turn this from a messy family fight into a scandal that exposes a pattern years in the making. Now, you can't talk about Toni Braxton's recent history without touching on the whirlwind saga that was Birdman, the Cash Money Records boss who went from rumored fling to fiancé in record time. Back in 2018, the engagement was announced with fanfare, and front and center was a jaw-dropping $5 million engagement ring that had everyone talking. But the fairy tale didn't last long, and neither did the ring. Toni claimed it was lost, yes, lost, a few months later while traveling. For most people, losing something worth more than some people's entire neighborhood would be cause for panic, lawsuits, or at least an FBI-level search party. But for Toni, the reaction was oddly muted. Some fans couldn't help but wonder, was it really lost, or was there more to the story? Then came the rapid unraveling of the relationship. In 2019, rumors swirled that the engagement was off, then back on, then off again. By early 2020, it was reported they'd quietly married, and just as quickly divorced. The whole relationship timeline felt like a blur, with more questions than answers. Was it romance, or was there a business angle? Because here's the thing, Birdman isn't just a music mogul. He's a man with deep connections in the industry and serious money. For someone like Toni, who has faced public financial strain for decades, being tied to Birdman could have been a strategic move, a lifeline to maintain her luxe image, clear debts, or even fund future projects. And if that was the case, the abrupt ending of their marriage could have been more than just a heartbreak. It might have been a financial blow, cutting off a stream of support or opportunity just when she needed it most. That missing $5 million ring? Fans still debate whether it was an accident, a cover story, or a deliberate move to liquidate assets without public scrutiny. After all, losing a piece of jewelry means it can be quietly sold off without the same paper trail as a public sale. It's the kind of theory that turns gossip into conspiracy. And with Toni's history, people are quick to connect those dots. And that's why the Birdman chapter matters now. When Tamar drops accusations about her sister allegedly going after her money, people remember the broken engagement, the missing ring, and the lightning-fast marriage-divorce cycle. They remember that Toni has been in situations before where financial survival and personal relationships collide, and sometimes the lines get blurry, which begs the uncomfortable question. If Toni could walk away from a marriage and a $5 million diamond like it was nothing, what's stopping her from making moves closer to home, even if that means crossing family lines? When you start laying all these pieces out, the bankruptcies, the Birdman saga, the missing $5 million ring, and now Tamar's claims, you can't help but notice something. It's not just isolated scandals. It's a series of moves that, depending on how you look at them, could form a pattern. Think about it. In the late 90s, Toni was at the top of her game, but signed a contract so bad it left her broke. How did she bounce back? By leveraging her name, her voice, and high-profile relationships to re-enter the spotlight and secure new deals. Then came the second bankruptcy, millions in debt. Suddenly, we saw Toni pivot again. Reality TV with Braxton Family Values. A Vegas residency. Public openness about her health struggles, which not only won her sympathy, but also kept her relevant in an industry that moves on quickly. Fast forward to Birdman. Was it love? Maybe. But was it also strategic? You're telling me a woman with a long-documented taste for luxury, facing ongoing whispers about her finances, just happens to get engaged to a rap mogul worth hundreds of millions? And when that relationship fizzled, the $5 million ring just disappeared? And now, Tamar's accusation. If true, does it represent another pivot in this long survival playbook? When the industry isn't providing the cash flow, when partnerships don't work out, when the opportunities dry up, does Toni find her next move in the places closest to her? Could it be that every public romance, every headline-grabbing twist, even every family feud has an underlying motive beyond what we see? Or is it all coincidence? A string of bad luck mixed with bad press that unfairly paint her as desperate? Because here's the thing. Toni's moves have always been bold. And bold moves, whether in love, business, or family, often blur the line between survival and betrayal. So if Tamar's claims are true, is this just the latest in a long history of Toni doing whatever it takes to maintain the lifestyle, the image, and the brand she's built? Or, here's the plot twist. Has Toni been unfairly cast as the villain in her own life story, with people misreading her resilience as manipulation? Either way, when you zoom out and see the bankruptcies, the Birdman engagement, the lost diamond, and now the alleged bank incident, it becomes harder to believe these are random dots. Maybe, just maybe, they connect. And if they do, the picture they form is one that could change how fans see the entire Braxton family legacy. When Tamar dropped the bombshell, it wasn't just another messy Braxton family squabble. This one hit deep because it wasn't about a shady contract, a TV argument, or even a man. This was about money. And in Tamar's eyes, it was about trust. We're talking about a sister, someone who shared the same stage, the same bloodline, the same family struggles, allegedly making a move to dip into her personal finances. That's not just a boundary crossed. That's the kind of betrayal that sticks in your chest, the kind that keeps you up at night replaying every past conversation, wondering if the signs were there all along. And Tamar isn't one to suffer in silence. Within hours, her social media was on fire, cryptic posts, subtle digs, and then the direct hit, calling Toni out for what she claims happened at the bank. She didn't name drop in a random rant. She made sure the world knew exactly who she was talking about. Fans instantly took sides. Tamar's supporters flooded her comments with messages like blood doesn't mean loyalty and family will hurt you worse than strangers. Others, loyal to Toni, accused Tamar of clout chasing and airing private family matters for attention. But the loudest voices? The ones saying this feels like the final crack in a sisterhood that's been splintering for years. On X, formerly Twitter, the hashtag started trending. Hashtag Braxton Betrayal, hashtag Tamar versus Toni, and even hashtag Family to Foe. Memes popped up overnight. Tamar side-eyeing in one frame, a bank vault in the next. And YouTubers, podcasters, and gossip pages wasted no time dissecting every detail, from Toni's history of financial trouble to Tamar's past shade toward her sisters. The emotional weight of this moment is what's keeping the story alive. Fans aren't just watching a celebrity feud. They're watching a family implode in real time. Tamar's pain feels raw, unfiltered, and public in a way that makes people both sympathetic and voyeuristic. And here's the part that stings the most. For years, the Braxtons have preached unity, even through the chaos. "We may fight, but we're still sisters," they'd say in interviews. But now, that tagline feels dead. Because if Tamar's telling the truth, this isn't just a fight. It's a fracture that might never heal. The big question swirling online now isn't did it happen? It's if this is what Toni's willing to do to her own sister. What else has she done that we don't know about? And now, we're at the point where this story stops being just another messy Braxton headline and starts feeling like the opening chapter of something much bigger. Because if Tamar's telling the truth, if Toni really did walk into that bank and try to access her sister's money, then we're not just talking about a moment of bad judgment. We're talking about a calculated move, one that crosses every moral line, every sisterly bond, every ounce of trust. And that's the part people can't shake. If you're willing to risk your relationship with family for a quick payout, what else are you willing to do? Toni hasn't spoken. No Instagram live. No interview. Not even a PR statement. And in the gossip world, silence isn't just the absence of words. It's a breeding ground for speculation. Because the longer she stays quiet, the louder the theories get. Some insiders claim there's already more tea brewing. Alleged text messages. A potential witness from inside the bank. Even whispers about other financial disputes within the family that never made it public. Until now. So here's the question that has everyone glued to their screens. If this is what she's doing in her own blood, what else is she hiding? Because the Braxton family has always been a mix of music, money, and mess. But this feels different. This feels like the kind of scandal where the real receipts haven't even dropped yet. And when they do, the fallout could make this week's drama look like child's play. Stay tuned, because if the whispers are true, the next chapter in the Toni, Tamar saga isn't just going to break the internet. It's going to shatter it.